Hi everyone, welcome to part 2. Okay, Ljubomir has just played knight 8 d7. And next came from Bronstein, rook c1, which is pinning the c5 bishop and forcing queen c6 if black wants to defend. Queen b5 next, and then the breaking of this pin. Bronstein played another great move now. If you want to try and spot it, then stop the video. Rook takes c5 is the move, with the idea of planting a lethal knight on f6 no matter how black recaptures, which combined with queen h4 will create a lethal attack for white. Knight takes c5 is forced unless black wants to give up his queen, so white is now not only a rook down but an exchange on top. However, his attack is winning. After knight f6 check, king h8 and queen h4, threatening mate on h7. Ljubomir played queen b5 check and king e3. Bronstein is completely fearless. He has calculated accurately and seen that there is no mating line or perpetual check here for Ljubomir. If queen d3 check, simply king f2 and white is fine, and in fact safer than with his king on e3. So Ljubomir aims to defend instead with h5, but it's hopeless after knight takes h5, a crushing sacrifice. Ljubomir now felt that he had no choice, if he wanted to save the game, other than sacrificing his queen at this point with queen takes b3 check, for reasons that will become clear in a moment. This move is one of the top choices given by the computer, and there were some other options. If g takes h5, just to show it, it's refuted by queen takes h5 check and mate in 2 with king g8 and now queen g6 check, exploiting this pin, which is the reason Ljubomir felt he had to sacrifice his queen. And now king h8 and bishop f6 is mate. Another possibility is a queen d3 check, but this is losing after king f2. And now there's no more checks from the queen, unless he wants to sacrifice it. So knight e4 check, f takes e4, queen d4 check, king g2, queen takes b2 check, king h3, and black runs out of checks with mate in a maximum of 7 moves coming. So defense is very, very hard here for Ljubomir. So he sacrifices his queen, which is simplifying and hoping for the best, but allowing this attack here is obviously a big mistake, and it's not looking good for black from here in. So a takes b3, and he sacrificed back material and got to a situation where he has 2 rooks against the queen, which is usually okay, but white's attack rages on here, and one of Ljubomir's idea was that he can now play knight d5 check, but after king d4, Bronstein's king is also getting involved in the attack. So it's just an incredible game from Bronstein for so many different reasons. The rook sacrifice and the knight sacrifice, choosing the whole opening variation that results in this position is extremely risky, and now is a very active king, and the bishop b3, which sacrificed the rook. Incredible moves one after the other. It's a fantastic game. So knight e6 check is what Ljubomir played next, and after king takes d5 he can play knight takes g5, and this is another one of the ideas of the queen sack, because taking out the dark square bishop was essential if black hoped to defend these dark squares around the king. And although now white is going to have a queen and a knight against 2 rooks as well as 2 extra pawns and a far more active king, so he's completely winning. And by many accounts Ljubomir was only playing on here because Bronstein was in bad time trouble. So knight f6 check, king g7, queen takes g5, and black can't even hope for any kind of activity here. He's tied to passive defense. After rook f d8, the position is a fairly easy technical win, and Bronstein, who was something of a veteran at the game at this time, executes it with pleasing precision. He plays e6 check first of all. After f takes e6, king takes c6, and white's plan is simply to enable the queening of his passed pawn. So rook f8, which is, hoping forlornly for counterplay, but it's hopeless for black. Now comes d7, and the idea of playing knight g4, e5, and f7, allowing the knight to be taken in order to queen on d8, and if it's not taken, then the pawn can queen anyway. So a5 from Ljubomir, which is aiming to get the a8 rook some play, but of course it's far too late to make any difference to the outcome of the game. So knight g4, rook a6 check, and it's a check, alright, but now comes simply king e5, and this allows rook f5 check, but thanks to this passed pawn, it's not a problem because Bronstein can simply play queen takes f5. And after g takes f5, he can queen, and f takes g4, he's going into completely winning endgames. After queen d7 check, king h6, queen takes b7, it's 4 pawns against 2, and queen against rook, so it's simple. And rook g6 is, hoping for counterplay, but next came f4, and Ljubomir, now seeing no hope to save the game, and past move 40 and the time control, threw in the towel and resigned. And he'd been doing well in this tournament, but after this game he collapsed whilst Bronstein surged up in the field and finished well. And it was a superb game from Bronstein, surely one of his most famous, and it regularly gets voted as one of the best and most complicated of all time. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave any comments or thoughts. Thanks very much.